The earliest domestic dog bones in the Americas, around 11,000-year-old stone tools, and intriguing hints of much more have all been found during archaeological digs. In today's video, we will be talking all about Haida Gwaiis caves. Remember to subscribe to our channel. Let's begin. Quentin Mackey didn't expect to like the experience when he first entered a limestone cave on the west coast of Haida Gwaiis, an archipelago off the north coast of British Columbia. Mackey, an archaeologist from the University of Victoria in British Columbia, found the long days excavating underground to be quite enjoyable. The heightened sensory experience in the tunnels was amazing, despite the cave being chilly, claustrophobic, and wet. Tim Heaton, a paleontologist from the University of South Dakota, allegedly opened a juice box while taking a break in a dark cave on Moresby Island, flooding the tunnel with the overpowering scent of grapefruit. The thrill of discovering a stone spear point, evidence that prehistoric people had once been in or close to this cave thousands of years ago, outweighed the excitement of excavating in a dark cave. "We did not expect we would find artifacts in those caves," Mackey says. To retrieve animal remains to aid in the reconstruction of the prehistoric ecosystem was the aim of him and his team, which included both archaeologists and volunteers. The limestone topography of Haida Gwaiis has been eroded by groundwater, creating a network of karst caverns that are chilly, dark, somewhat alkaline, and challenging to reach. These circumstances are ideal for conserving animal remains and artifacts. In a Moresby Island cave known as K1, Heaton discovered the first stone spear point almost 2 decades ago. Since then, the group has discovered 2 additional caverns on Haida Gwaiis' Huxley Island, one of the smaller islands in the archipelago, Gadu Din 1 and Gadu Din 2. Other artifacts and animal remains, including the earliest known indication of domesticated canines in the Americas, were found during the excavations carried out in partnership with Parks Canada and the Haida Nation. The research, which was just published, sheds light on life on Haida Gwaiis more than 10,000 years ago and offers a tantalizing hint as to what might be discovered in the island's numerous other caves. All 3 of the caves had archaeological evidence, so I guess there are hundreds of comparable caves on the coast, says Mackey. On Haida Gwaiis, it is not permitted for the general public to enter caves. Only authorized archaeologists are permitted to conduct research. Daryl Fedye, an archaeologist at the Hakai Institute in British Columbia and the study's principal author, claims that caves are magnets for animals and people. But unlike other regions where caves have provided a wealth of archaeological knowledge, British Columbia only conducts a few investigations into its cave systems. Although they perform research digs at known settlements and intertidal sites, the province's archaeologists mainly evaluate potential development or logging sites rather than exploring caverns. The 3 caverns on Haida Gwaiis, protected by the Canada National Parks Act and Haida law, have been excavated over several field seasons, revealing various functions. Up until 13,400 years ago, bear dens like K1 and Gadu Din 1 were probably in use. The crew discovered weaponry there, including spear points and more than 11,000-year-old stone flake tools. The artifacts were most likely carried in by impaled animals or hunters slaughtering their quarry, according to Fedye. Between 12,500 and 10,700 years ago, hunters most likely utilized Gadu Din 2 as a temporary camp. According to Fedye, the crew discovered a hearth, stone tools, and resharpening flakes in this cave. Brown bear and deer skeletons can be seen among the animal bones retrieved from the caves. Although deer were eventually reintroduced, both species appear to have vanished from the archipelago by the end of the Pleistocene, about 11,700 years ago. Although brown bears are frequent on the British Columbian mainland, Fedye claims that this is the first proof that they have ever been on Haida Gwaiis. This work has evolved into a fantastic story that conveys a vast amount about the history of the environment and people, according to the author. But of all the animal remains, a tooth was the most stunning. The team discovered it was from a domestic dog that lived 13,100 years ago using DNA analysis and radiocarbon dating, making it the earliest evidence of domestic dogs discovered in the Americas. Dogs are also a surrogate for the presence of humans, according to Mackey. According to archaeological evidence, this discovery pushes back the beginning of human settlement on Haida Gwaiis by 2,000 years. However, Fedye anticipates that more exploration will turn up items that further advance this timeline. According to Oregon State University archaeologist Lauren Davis, who was not engaged in the project, these results are fascinating. Particularly, the dog tooth was a big discovery. According to him, Haida Gwaiis and coastal British Columbia are at the gateway to the Americas, making it crucial to study more about the area's early cultural and natural history to comprehend what life was like for the region's first inhabitants. Expert Helans, the excavations at all three caverns were led by Haida hereditary chief and archaeologist Alan Davidson, who emphasizes that artifacts and animal remains are not only prehistoric finds. Whether a preserved human footprint or a bare mandible, archaeological and paleontological discoveries have significance for indigenous people. According to Davidson, the Haida people have inhabited and taken care of Haida Gwaiis for thousands of years. His nation's oral histories describe the long history of the Haida people in this area, and Western archaeology is only now catching up. Kichitasu Elroy White, a Heiltsuk archaeologist and the proprietor of Central Coast Archaeology, who was not engaged in the study, was happy to see that the authors incorporated oral histories in their published work, but wished they had prioritized the stories more highly to emphasize their significance. When researching First Nations communities, he would also like to see non-Indigenous archaeologists interpret their findings into pertinent Indigenous languages. Mackey concludes that better archaeology results from understanding Indigenous histories and a broader cultural context. Through the trowel is not the only way to know about deep human history, he says. It was recently discovered that humans had inhabited the islands of Haida Gwaiis considerably earlier than previously believed. This is an intriguing new archaeological discovery. Existing data suggests that humans arrived on Haida Gwaiis between 10,500 and 10,800 years ago. However, recent discoveries have turned back the clock on this time frame, indicating 13,000 years of human habitation. The discovery was made by Simon Fraser University, SFU, paleobotanist Rolf Matthews and his colleagues. Their group investigated the Haida Gwaiis archaeological site on Ellen Island. Prior studies had established that the island had been a hunting and fishing camp until the end of the Ice Age, when increasing sea levels caused it to become a lagoon. At the location, numerous organic and stone artifacts have been found. The genuine breakthrough came from a 2-meter-long sediment core. High levels of charcoal were found in the silt, evidence of human-made fires. The scientists concluded that this was proof of human existence some 2,200 years earlier than previously thought, after determining that the sediment was 13,000 years old and that natural forest fires are historically uncommon on Haida Gwaiis due to its climate. The amount of charcoal that was being produced around this little pond must have been produced by humans being there, Matthews said. These charcoal peaks, based on all the evidence we have, could not have been from natural forest fires. We interpret them as strong evidence that these were human-caused fires. According to Matthews, the discoveries have even more significant implications for coastal migration during the period, and demonstrate that humans were on Haida Gwaiis earlier than previously believed. One is the development of coastal North America's population during this period. Long-held conventional wisdom holds that after leaving the north, humanity moved to the continent's interior before arriving in the oceanic regions following huge ice melts. However, this and other evidence indicate that humans had already reached the coast before these melting episodes, which suggests that many of them first traveled down the coast from Alaska and the north as humans moved throughout the continent. People on the coast have been there for a long time, and they couldn't have come from the interior, Matthews said. All the evidence is that they were maritimely adapted and seafood eaters, so they had to have come down knowing how to use boats very early on. Haida Gwaiis is one of the sites that demonstrates that very concisely. That is all for this video. We will be back soon with another informative video. Don't forget to like and share this video. Until next time!